your cowboy shit.
Welcome to episode 194 Cowboy Shit. Sorry, friends, for the slight delay. Been some stuff on the go here in the last little while, and I've been very diligent about putting on a show every other Wednesday, and that was the first week we've missed in quite a while. But we're gonna make it up to you. We got a couple big shows on the way in the next little bit here. But back again, my name's Ted Stoven, and this week I have joining me, returning as a guest co-host of the show, from Lloydminster on the Saskatchewan side. I forget now.
Alberta.
Oh, he's on the Alberta side. Okay, he's on the Alberta side.
Yeah,
I forgot.
AB, baby.
I haven't been there in a while, but from Foley Bucking Bulls and Only Bulls, it's James Foley.
How's it going, Teddy?
It's not Only Fans, it's Only Bulls. Okay, get it right.
Only bulls. Only bulls. Got some heifers, got some cows, but pretty much only bulls.
You can't really talk. It can't really be only cows, though. That might be offensive to some viewers. Or only heifers.
Only heifers would probably get a little heat. probably take a little clap back for only heifers. But I did see somewhere that there was these kids that had a clothing brand with heifers or something like that. So
Oh, really?
yeah, if they get away with it, I'm pretty sure I can.
I wonder. Man, okay, you gotta fill me in on the Only Bulls thing. I forget the story, but it's kind of like
Um,
like Only Bulls. It's a bit of
Yeah,
a
yeah. Well, it
thing.
is on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
My whole idea about it was like in this industry, in the buck and bull industry particularly, it is like everything is free, right? Like you want it, everything's free except for Pro Bowl Stats. Slade finally made people have to pay for that, which I mean,
Makes
there's a lot of
sense.
work. There's a lot of work that goes into everything, whether you're
Oh yeah.
raising horses, raising sheep, raising cattle, raising bucking animals, whatever it is. So I just wanted it's free, but you know what I mean, it's the whole idea is people subscribe and then kind of get my 2 cents. Everything I learned from asking people and especially in the bucking bull world. Cattle stuff, obviously my family's been in the cattle industry for quite a while. So yeah, I just put it on there, and there's kind of like a way for me to kind of put a little more in-depth um, descriptions on what I was posting and what my animals were, instead of getting like 25 DMs of what's that, what's that, what's that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do it the odd time. I haven't been really in the last year. I haven't posted too much on it, but yeah, it was just something different and something cool to try out. So that's why I did it.
Right on. Well, and for those that don't know, Foley raised Buck Nasty is one of your big hitters. Um, and I'm blanking on the bull that won the finals right now. I should know. I gave you
Piper.
yeah, Kaylee's Piper. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I totally blanked on that right there. But
Well,
won the
it's
PBR
understandable.
Canada Bull of the Finals last
Yeah.
year. Kind of came like, so the thing here is, and we can talk a little bit about this if you want to, but like you're kind of on the outside for a little while on the PBR Canada side of things. There was a bit of a dispute at one point, a difference of opinions, I might just say,
Yeah.
to put it down the
That's
middle.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah, but didn't we're not the PBR events for a while. I didn't see you for a little bit. Missed you. But came back to the finals last year and won, like split the bowl of the finals, didn't you?
Yeah.
At the in
Yeah.
Edmonton?
Split it with Slim. Yeah.
Yeah. So like raising great bulls, but Piper, and then somebody just won on Piper. Coy Schmidt just rode him in Marwayne for the win in the event as well.
Yeah.
So
We got
you
High
could,
Mark Bull there too.
yeah,
And
so
then
you got a lot.
right after the finals, we got High Mark Bull and Lloyd.
That's right.
He's
Hometown
kind of
event.
been on a heater, honestly. The last three
Three for
PBRs
three.
he's been at, so he's 3 for 3, and yeah, man, he's a cool customer. He's pretty chill. He doesn't really fit the like buck and bull mold. He's kind of overweight all the time. He's a super easy keeper. He just does his thing. So yeah, I was just lucky enough. I feel like when was he born? He's a 801, so he's 2018, and that calf crop of Buck Nasty calves have just done like big things for me. I've got a bunch of calves coming out of cows that are all 800 models, and these cows are producing big for me. So yeah, no, I'm pretty excited, and Piper's just kind of taking the reins as the big dog on the farm, and yeah, he loads up. He loves his job, and I love taking him wherever he goes. And guys love getting on him, man. He's as honest as the day is long. He's not a prick in the box. Yeah, he's just awesome to have. So
It's
we'll
ideal.
just keep,
And
we'll just keep rolling with him.
those
And it,
those things are not easy to feed and to keep healthy and to keep fed upright and to keep on the road. Like it's quite the endeavor to be in the bull business. And it's not a money-making venture by any means
no, and
for
they
most.
yeah, man, they're like, it's hard to describe, but they're high maintenance, honestly. Like they 1 minute you look at them and they're 100%, and 2 minutes later you look at them and they're crippled. So
Mhm.
yeah, they're a high maintenance animal for sure. You gotta love what you're doing, and we definitely love it, and we got a bunch of young ones coming up that we're pretty excited about. So
Well, and this show's coming out on April 30th. We took a short break there last for the last show, but we just talked just did a record a little piece you'll hear next with Brian Cowie from the Coy Lars Memorial PBR. That's going to be May 9th, next Friday. After that, in the PBR side of things, May 10th is going to be the Camrose Coy Robbins Invitational as well. The Drayton Valley Pro Rodeo's on this weekend. But Foley, I'm assuming your next one's Camrose. I could be wrong, but are you headed that one next?
no, we're not going to Camrose. I got a
Okay.
couple BRCs, and then yeah, then we go to PBRs after that. In June, I think, is our next one, maybe.
Are you going out east? Are you doing London and Ottawa?
No, not
Not
going
gonna
out
go?
east.
Okay,
No,
fair enough.
not
There's still
not
lots to
a.
do out this way.
Oh yeah, yeah. We got enough events out here to kind of keep things rolling. So
Right on.
we'll see how it goes, and kick it from there. But yeah, Brooks and Camrose are going to be really good events.
Yeah, the entries just closed, I think, the last little bit for those two. So hopefully we got a good entry. But man, in events are back. Glad to see it. But in other news, I gotta share a little story with the folks.
Big
Look at
news,
this one.
Teddy. Big news.
Yeah, big news. So the show, I got an email out of the blue one day, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And it was from a lady, Allie Jones from Cowboys and Indians. So the premier magazine of the West for those that may or may not know. But check this out. Look at this the best of the West. Look at that. See how it says Western Podcasts?
Yep.
What are
Do you
we,
feel do
Mr.
you feel
Foley?
shorted? Do you feel shorted that you didn't get the cover
Oh, a little bit disappointed that they didn't put my ugly
though?
mug on the
Yeah,
cover.
they should have done at least one for you.
Sorry, Ashley McBride, but move over
Yeah,
for
Teddy's
cowboy
in
shit,
town.
right?
Teddy's in town.
She may be a honky tonk hero, but we're on the
So
list. Cowboy shit is on the list, the best of the Western podcasts. And I don't know if we made it to the bottom, but they actually wrote shit in the magazine. Look at that. We're right next to Taylor Sheridan. Look at this guy. He's pretty important.
heck
Right
yeah,
down
give
there at
us a
the
little read. Give us a
right
little
down
read.
there
What
at the
does it say?
bottom. Right down there at the bottom. Cowboy shit podcast. Cowboy shit podcast. Um spotlights the Western way of life in an effortless conversational style with a Canadian twist. It's because we're Canadian.
Hey,
How fun is that? How fun is that? But I got to give a shout out to some of the other folks that made the list. The Converse Cowboy, Mike Roberts. Shout out to there. Like a farmer. Um, oh, this is co-founded by Josh Allen and hosted by Pat Sonoza. Interesting. Then they got Barn Talk. Father son duo of Sawyer and Torque Whistler, farmers of That'll Do Farm. Interesting. Rodeo Time with Dale Brisby. Man, I gotta say, Brisby's doing a great job on the podcast side of things, and so is the crew from Let's Freaking Rodeo, the Harris brothers, Cole and Ty.
yeah,
Cole may have stole one of our videos last year and not asked us, and then gave us shit because said we were gonna get lots of exposure, but he didn't even ask us to steal the video of Bo Cooper on our show. He just put it in his documentary without asking. So we were a little bit disappointed with the not asking part, but they are doing a great job on the show side of things. So hopefully they keep it rocking that way. Then the Leaders of the West, Jesse Jarvis does her show as well. So pretty fun to make the list on the same page as Taylor Sheridan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one of eight of the Best Western podcast featured in Cowboys and Indians. Thank you to Cowboys and Indians for including us on the list. Appreciate it. It's in store. It's in your newsstands now. This is the what issue is this? Look, I think it's May, June. Yeah, May, June 2025. Ash McBride on the cover. But we're in the book. We made it. We're really doing it, Foley. We're really doing it.
We're really doing it, Harry.
We're really doing it. So thanks to Cowboys and Indians. And yeah, what a way to kick off the summer. Events are almost back. Been chomping at the bit to get after it here. The reno at the house is almost done. And the summer's on. Golf season's back in Alberta.
Talk about the headquarters facelift.
Oh yeah, so I got this fancy backdrop that I set up in the office. I don't know what got into me, but I was like, what am I doing? Everybody's just looking at my closet behind me with all my rodeo clothes behind me. But let's like put up this backdrop. It's in the garage. Make it look nice. But working on a partnership right now. Hoping I can make something work, but I built a new little spot upstairs. It's a little breakfast nook. My brother built me a little bench to go in there. I got a table from one of his buddies. The guy made Spencer made me a table as well from Sunder Woodworks in Edmonton. Nice cherry wood. And then what else? Yeah, so we're working on that studio space upstairs. So that'll kind of be like a spot I plan to do the show at. I probably still do some down here once in a while, but anyways, yeah, the house is almost done. We today finally got the last front on the cupboard. So there's like a few doors and drawer fronts missing. So today was the day we finally got all those in, and it's kind of like almost finished now. Still got a couple doors to go on and some painting of some doors, but she's like, my new bed's got to show up still too. New bed frame. So it's like, it's super close, but not quite there.
An entirely new workbench.
No, brand new workbench. Foley. Gonna be pretty nice workbench. First time I've ever bought. I think it's the first time I ever bought myself a mattress for myself. I don't think I've ever bought one for myself. Pretty sure that I took my one from my parents' house and it lasted like another 12 years. And then, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've never bought I bought guest mattresses here at the house, and I had a buddy give me one time, second-hander, but it's the first one I actually bought. Turns out they're fucking expensive.
Yeah, oh yes. They see you coming a mile away.
Holy shit. You know what else
Good
is
investment,
expensive?
though.
Getting your fucking tooth fixed. I had to get a crown on a tooth today. Son of a bitch. It was
$1,200.
13, I think it was.
13.
There's a lot though. Yeah.
Yeah.
And guess who's got
also
it? Guess who's got no insurance? Coming. This guy.
This guy.
No insurance. I'm going with the bank of me. I'm on the tuck and roll policy, but it doesn't work for your teeth.
Maybe it's time a guy starts, razzing the guys to get onto a little insurance package.
I don't know, man. Am I getting up in that age? What's the age where you got to start thinking about insurance for me and my employees?
I don't know.
Boy.
Probably.
Oh, boy.
I don't know. I feel like everybody tried selling you insurance nowadays.
Oh man, I don't know.
Like I was on a kick there, broke my arm, broke one arm, and then I broke my other arm, and then I did something else, and then like all of a sudden in my DMs I had like 7 people trying to sell me like insurance.
Oh boy.
It was just back to back to back. They see you fall down on social media and then everybody's on you. We can help.
Hey, can I get you some insurance?
Hey, looks like you got shit luck. You mind paying us?
Oh dear. Well, thanks for joining me, Foley. Got anything else to throw on the top of the show here before we get to the interview this week? Interviews?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Straight
okay. Well,
to
I wish you luck out there on the road and at the events at the BRCs coming up here. And yeah, up next we got Brian Cowie from the Coy Larson Memorial PBR, and then after that, it's gonna be Ned LeDoux, son of Chris LeDoux. Ned's got new music coming out, and we talk about a few stories here that he's never really told many folks before. There's a lot of kind of fun pieces here. He talked about. I asked him straight up. I was like, "Where's your dad's like world champion buckle? Like, where's that? What's going on?" And he said that they're doing the last Chris LeDoux days this year as well. But yeah, new music, talking about some old fun stories. It was we had a lot of fun. Really enjoyed the chat with Ned, and yeah, looking forward to the events next week too. Thanks for joining me, Bill Foley.
Awesome, buddy. Love having you.
Yeah. We'll do it again in a week or two.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds like a plan. Well, welcome back to the show this week. I'm Ted Stoven, and I'm got a new set up this backdrop here, but it looks like it's a little oversized for the space. I was trying to cover up my my closet, but I'm not sure if it's working or not. But I got a new background in the works. But anyways, he was on the 70th episode of the show, and I had my pal Cor Blund help me out as a co-host at the time from back in July of 2020. It's almost 5 years later, but welcome back to the show, Mr. Ned LeDoux. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me on again. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what we talked about last time, so we're just gonna. It's a bit of a new world right now, Ned. We don't have the same experience that we did that summer, luckily.
Right.
We got you on the video side of things this time, but tell me what you've been up to the last few years, and we got to hit off the right at the top the new album Safe Haven as well. So you've had a lot on the go lately, and we talked about you actually were home a little bit recently too. But yeah, fill us in. What's been happening?
Well, shoot, since the last time I talked to you, maybe the last time I was talking with you, I was getting ready to release the Buckskin album, which came out in 22, I think, or 21. But yeah, just kind of staying busy, playing a lot of shows, and time spent at home is usually, playing with the kids or, working on projects around the house, putting new decking on just redoing the deck or fixing up this old shed out back that I've been wanting to do for years. And so that time that we all visited last time, I got a lot of stuff done. But yeah, just staying busy.
Well, talk about the new album too. Just came out on the 4th of April. Today's only the 23rd, so it's only been out a couple weeks now.
Yeah, it's been a pretty cool ride. Finally releasing some new music. Because yeah, this album, once it came out, it was over 3 years since the last one, and yeah, I'm just real proud of this. And the one thing about this album is I went a little deeper. I kind of dug down and found something that I don't know. Just I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve on this one for sure. And but the one difference between this album and the first three that I put out is I only wrote half of these songs. With the first three albums, I wrote, the lion's share anyway. But I just had some really good songs sent to me from outside writers, whether they were friends of mine or a couple of them I haven't even met yet. But a good song is a good song, and it fit with what I've been doing and what I wanted to have on this album. And I just like the variety on here. There's songs about cowboys and ranching and traveling. It's inevitable. There's always going to be a song about traveling on every one of my albums because we just do so much time, traveling. But then there definitely shows the more spiritual side of myself with a few of these songs too. So yeah, real proud of it.
Well, and I gotta ask, one thing that stood out to me right off the bat was to have one hand in the rigging, and it's with your dad. For those that don't know, obviously Ned's dad is Chris LeDoux, 1976 world champion, the bareback riding, and obviously kind of creator of a lot of the cowboy anthems of the day. But how does it even work, Ned? I don't know how that you even do that to have a song with your dad still after he passed away quite a few years ago now.
Yeah, March 9th of 2005. So we're going to go back like 22, maybe 23 years ago.
Okay.
And there's this young up and coming singer-songwriter by the name of Bryn Hill. Great guy. And I got to be friends with him years ago. So he wrote this song, One Hand on the Riggin', and he's from Utah. And, he's a big fan of Dad's and still is. And he asked Dad if he'd like to sing on this song. And Dad took a listen to it. He was like, yeah, that's a good rodeo song. And so Dad walked into a studio in Ogden, Utah, which would be the last time he ever stepped foot in a studio and the last song he ever sang in a studio. And he laid down his vocal track. But the part of the story that I don't know too much about. As they say, for unforeseen circumstances, Dad's vocal didn't make the album. And again, I don't really know the whole story behind that, but so it more or less kind of sat on the shelf. I mean, the song was released on Bryn's album, but having Dad singing on there, didn't happen. And so, like I said, I got to be friends with Bryn over the years, and we'd always run into each other in Elko, Nevada, for the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering. And I had known about this song, from years ago, but in those days I was playing drums. The singing thing didn't come along until maybe about 10 years ago. And so the last time I saw Bryn was in Elko about a year and a half ago. And we got to talking about the song, and he said, Ned, I think maybe the timing just wasn't right back then. And the Lord has a plan for everything. I said, yeah, he does. And he said, I think what his plan is for this to be a duet with you and your dad. And I said, well, we're on the same page. And so it's kind of like him, in a way, kind of giving me the blessing to have it. And he said, the only thing is it was recorded on radar, which this is part of the story that's kind of over my head when it comes to recording gadgets and stuff. But he said, yeah, they don't make this machine anymore. He said, we might find somebody who might still have one. And I said, well, let me get a hold of my producer, Mac McAnally. I said, he probably has one under his bed or in his kitchen cupboard or something. And so I got a hold of Mac. He said, oh, yeah. I said, I know a guy who has one. So Brand just sent the software or the hard drive or whatever it was to Mac. And I'm sure Brand was, sweating bullets, taking this thing to the post office and shipping it across the country to Nashville. But it made it safe and sound. And so when I was in the studio recording the album in Nashville, we redid the whole production on one hand of the rigging. We put new drums, bass, guitars, everything. Then I put down my vocal track. And then I had to get back home. We had some shows to play. And that's when Mac got Dad's vocal, and he just plugged it into the mix. And man, it sounds so cool. I mean, just to hear me singing along with Dad, it's just a magical thing.
Well, and because your first your debut album was in 2016, so like you're 10 years into this side of things on your own. You started playing drums with like in your in your first band when you were only like 6 years old, and then worked with your dad's band in '98. So you worked with him for 7 or 8 years, I guess. But would you have sung with him? I don't know the history there back then.
No, I never sang with Dad. Now maybe, when I was like a little tiny kid, 2 or 3 years old, maybe we're going out to feed the horses and he starts singing Hoka Hela Kotas, and I'm singing along with him just like any father-son would do. But yeah, I started playing drums when I was about 5 or 6 and got my first band playing drums when I was 14. And that's all I really ever wanted to do was just play drums. And, singing, it's still kind of a mystery how that all came to be. But yeah, it's just neat, to hear, Dad's voice on a song that until we released it, I could probably only count on one hand how many people had ever heard Dad sing this song. And it wasn't like I just picked out a song from his catalog. It's a song that nobody had ever heard Dad sing. And so it's kind of like a brand new, Chris LeDoux song, but it's a duet with his son. So it's pretty cool.
What was the feeling like for you when you finally heard that? Like I'm just thinking about it in the hair in the back of my neck standing up a little bit. Like it was probably a really, really special moment for you.
Yeah, it was. Well, Brand sent me just a 20-second clip. He must have held his phone up to the speaker or something, and so it was just and it didn't sound very good. You know how that sounds with the phone holding it up to a speaker and everything. But so really, the first time I heard it was when the final mix and mastered version, and Mac, my producer, sent me an email, and I was on the golf course somewhere, and we hadn't even made the turn yet. And I get this email, and all it says is one hand in the rigging with like an attachment to it. It's like, but I didn't dare open it and start listening to it through my phone. It's like, I'm going to finish this round and then plug this thing into my truck. So the first time I hear it, it's going to sound good. And, man, and it doesn't matter how many times I've listened to it now, it still gives me chills. Yeah.
What's it gonna be like to play it live? You're gonna have to play that part into the live show, like that clip kind of thing, or how are you gonna slide that in there?
Well, I just sing the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be cool to have some kind of recording, just kind of a track, to have Dad, play through there. But I was talking to my producer, Mac McAnally, before we recorded it. I was just thinking, well, I wonder how many people will be able to tell the difference between my voice and Dad's. And because I get the comment all the time, like, you sound like your dad. And that's the best compliment I could get, really. And I mean, I can tell the difference, but I played it for all the guys in my band individually. I think we were playing a show down in Alabama or something, and so I just gave everybody like the earbuds, one at a time, and even though those guys couldn't tell the difference. Like, so are you singing the first part of the verse or the back half? So,
Oh way.
yeah, but it's cool.
What I gotta go back though. I think I cut you off too short though, just like that moment when you did get in the truck and did listen to it. What was that? What was that moment like hearing you both together on the same track?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, and just the whole production behind it. And somebody asked me why we didn't have any fiddle on it, because the song has been recorded by a number of different groups. Of course, Brent Hill, Western Underground recorded it back in, I think, 08 or 09.
Okay.
And then Chancey Williams recorded it as well. And I guess maybe all those versions had fiddle on it. But on this one, I've just been a big fan of like just driving guitars. So yeah, just kind of not necessarily rock it up or anything, but yeah, we don't have a fiddle player in the band, so but yeah, somebody asked, well, why don't you have fiddle on there? I said, well, it's okay to not have the fiddle.
Yeah.
The little electric guitar is fine.
Huh. Well, and that's I just think that's so cool to have that piece. But then it makes me think though, and like I don't want to make the show all about your dad, but I wonder what your feeling is like. And I don't recall if Corb asked this last time we did a show, but like I don't want to say I don't know how to ask it, Ned, but I don't want you to be overshadowed by the stuff your dad did either, like or what it's like. You can never obviously fill his shoes that way, but you're following down a similar path, not in the rodeo world, probably thankfully for your wife and kids on that side of things, but what's that like? Like I mean, I like where things are going on your side of things. Like you got all your own music, you're writing your own music, you're recording songs that a lot of other folks are writing for you now, which you said is a new part of the music game on your side of things. But where are you at with that on your dad's side of it all?
Well, it's just a proud moment, the fact that there's this one song that Dad sang and nobody had ever heard. I mean, it was never on one of his albums. It was just like there's this vocal track, there's this song that Dad sang, and it's just sitting on a shelf, and there's nothing being done with it. And so it's just a kind of a tip of the hat to Dad, and the fact that we made this thing work, was able to put it together by plugging his vocal in there from 22 years ago or whatever it's been. It's just a proud moment to have that all happen.
And what about the rest of the record? What and this new album? Like what tell me about some more of the tracks you got on there. Some of the stuff you're the most proud of and most excited about.
Let's see. Well, there's a couple on here that are very spiritual. And this whole album I dedicated to my our our daughter Haven Joe. And
Yeah.
as far as the album title, it's hard for me anyway to come up with a title for an album. Sometimes you'll have a song that has a good title that would make for a good album title, but there wasn't really a song title that really stood out that would make for the album title. And so I took out a sheet of paper and a pen and just started writing down first thing that came to mind. And and I was down in my basement and I got a picture of me and my daughter on the wall, and I just wrote her name down, Haven Joe. And I sent this list to my brother Will, and because he's a good guy to like throw these ideas back and forth with. And I said, does anything kind of jump off the sheet, as far as an album title? He said, well, I really like Haven Joe. I said, yeah, I do too. And then about 3 or 4 days go by, and he calls me back and he said, I was thinking about this album title. He said, have you ever thought of Safe Haven? I said, that's it. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And so there's an instrumental on here called Haven's Lullaby. And I just remember, a week or two after she passed, I went down to my basement and where we used to hang out all the time. And I took my guitar off the wall, and I wasn't in hopes that a song would come from it, but I just sat there and I was just playing it. And then all of a sudden this melody just kind of came up, and it was almost like she was like channeling her spirit into me. And I was like, well, hello, Haven.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to put just an instrumental track on an album. I got some albums from the 80s and 90s where they'll have like a minute and a half, instrumental to kind of bring on the next song. And then there's also another song called Real as I Believe, which I didn't write, but it was sent to me probably 3 or 4 years ago in a batch of songs from outside writers. And how I overlooked this one back then, I don't know, but I'm glad I found it. Because the first time I listened through it, I got about a third of the way through it, and it just hit me in the stomach and had that lump in my throat. And I got a hold of my manager. I said, well, I think I found another song for the album. And I just told him how it hit me emotionally. He goes, man, if it hits you like that, I can only imagine, the kind of effect it might have on other people. So it's pretty deep and very spiritual. So those are a couple that are pretty close to me.
Well, and you all lost Haven in 2019, and it's probably never easy ever. Do you feel like she visits you very often? Like you mentioned the lullaby and the instrumental piece of things, but does that kind of stuff happen once in a while for you, Ned? So you might have
Sorry.
missed.
Yeah, he froze up again. Right.
Oh, no worries. Are we good now?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You mentioned Haven's song, and that was like she passed in 2019. And obviously, like, it's a horrible thing for you all, but do you feel like she was part of that song? Like, does she visit you in other ways, different times when you're on the road or at home or different things? Like, you probably feel the presence once in a while on her, like with her being around and still being part of your lives.
Yeah, she gives us signs every day, and it's amazing. And having dreams about her and things like that. And seeing like a cardinal, I guess, is a sign that a loved one is there. And but yeah, I feel her presence all over the place. And yeah, she'll always be with me, and I'll see her again. That's for sure.
How have you gone on from that? Like, I lost my dad in January this year, and it's been a terrible been a terrible winter on my side of things. To be totally honest with you, I can't imagine losing a daughter though, Ned. I feel for you, and I can't imagine you losing your dad too. I'm sorry on that front too, because he
Yeah.
wasn't that old either.
Yeah. How old was your dad?
He turned 81 in October.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
he had a good run. Like I'm not knocking that. He had a great life. He did whatever he did exactly what he wanted to for his whole life. But like your dad was not like he was only in his 60s, wasn't he, when he passed? He wasn't that old.
He was 56.
56, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's really kind of in the title of this album, Safe Haven. Um, I believe that most everybody in this world has a place where they need to go when the world gets a little heavy and things just ain't working out. And, so they have this safe haven where they go recharge and they regroup, and then they open up the door to the world again. So they fight the good fight. And so a safe haven for me has always been music. Uh, just to take that guitar off the wall and to hold it is just kind of a comforting thing. And not to say that it takes my mind off of everything, but in a way it just eases it, eases that grief. And of course, if you play the drums like I did for years, if you're pissed off about something, man, you can take your aggressions out on the drums, because hell, that's what they're for. Just beat the hell out of them. You'll feel a lot better. But yeah, the strength that the Lord gave me, I don't really know where it all came from, but He gave me some kind of a courage and the willingness to carry on. That's what my wife and I always say. We'll carry on, And there's certain things some people say that I know they don't mean it. Like you got to deal with this. I hate that phrase. But what we do, we carry on. Like with your dad, my daughter, and everybody who's ever lost a friend, a family member, or whatever. You just do your best to carry on their memory and the things they taught you, and pictures, things like that, and just to know that they're always going to be with you. They always will.
And for you, you mentioned music being a safe haven. Is there a space for you too? And you maybe don't have to or don't want to share that, but I wonder if there's a space for you or a place or something as well. Like I wonder if it's back home or if it's because isn't there isn't there a statue of your dad at Cheyenne too? Or am I thinking somewhere else?
Yeah, there's one in my hometown, KC, Wyoming.
AC?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then they put the artist that built it, Mike Thomas. Cheyenne Frontier Days wanted the same thing, so
Yeah.
there's one at in Cheyenne and one in KC. But like this area right here is kind of like a safe haven,
Yeah.
just the garage or the basement. Just being at home, is a good place to be.
Yeah. I agree with you. Appreciate being home with how much we're on the road at different times. I wonder now I'm thinking the next one of the next albums could be Carry On one day. Maybe that's another album
Yeah,
someday. Maybe. I
yeah,
wonder I wonder. I'm starting to think now. I wonder what you're gonna write next.
yeah. Well, hopefully I can put new music out sooner than I did this last time. Waiting 3 years or more. But I do have a song on. I think it's my first album, Sagebrush. It's called Cowboy Life, and I use the phrase "carry on." Like you carry on. It's a song about like a rough stock rider. He might be getting up in age, and
Yeah.
the guys that do it will say it themselves. Like there's kind of an age limit on it, as far as doing it competitively. I mean, you're not going to see anybody in their 50s making the NFR, probably, with bareback riding.
Yeah.
But if they got the love and desire to keep on going, then you carry on.
Yeah, and probably just not in the bareback riding or the bull riding for too far into the career, I guess, eh? Some of
Yeah,
the bronc riders can carry on for quite a while.
sure. Yeah. Uh-huh.
What about and yeah, I wonder on the other side, like on the time events, I'd have to look at the numbers. But obviously it's a lot easier on a guy. But I gotta ask about $6 a day. What's the story on $6 a day?
Well, it's kind of like it turned into my sound check song.
Oh,
And it's a song that Dad recorded years and years ago, but he didn't write it. Um, but yeah, like when we're doing sound check, we call it going around the world. So,
okay.
so like Mark Sissel, our guitar player, he'll be kind of the ringleader. It's like, okay, who needs kick drum? Okay, everybody gets some. Hi hat? You just go around the world. Okay, pedal steel, this and that. Then when it comes to me, I'll just strum the guitar for a little bit, and then they say, okay, Ned's vocal, who needs it? And instead of going, hey, check 1 2, check 1 2, that's just boring to me. So let me just sing a song. And so I just started singing $6 a day. And our sound guy said, you should do that every time during sound check. It gives me a good chance to really dial your voice in instead of just hollering into the mic. And yeah, it was a few months ago, I guess. My little brother Will, who sells merch and has been selling merch since he was probably 8 years old, he said, you ought to record $6 a day. He said, you sing that song so good. And the band eventually started, playing along with it. And I said, okay, yeah. So but it's a great song. And yeah, it talks about trying to make it to Canada, I think.
Oh,
So there you go.
hey, there we go. Well, and it's I'm just looking at the times too. It's one of the longer songs it's the longest song on the album too. 5-minute song in 2025 is quite the ballad.
Is it $6 a day or is it Story of the Hired Hand?
Story of the Hired Hand is 433 on Spotify, but I could be maybe something's mixed up. I haven't double checked the times.
You're probably right there. But yeah, Story of the Hired Hand is one that I wrote, and I think it's the longest song that I've ever written.
Yeah.
I didn't plan on that. I'm just trying to tell the story about this guy who works on a ranch that isn't his. He's just a hired hand. And then once we got done recording, it's like, damn, that's pushing almost 5 minutes long.
Yeah. Which is long song these days though, right?
Yeah, I think you want to aim for more of like a 3 minute, 20 second, 3.5 minute song. And
Yeah.
but I don't really aim for that. I just write it. If it
Tell the
ends up
story.
being 5 minutes long, then who cares?
Yeah. Well, and then what about I guess in the live show sometimes some stuff gets cut down once in a while to keep the tempo up, I would assume, right? Like definitely with some artists and the live show ends up being a little different, right? Sometimes,
Yeah,
or am I wrong?
as far as like the whole set list, keeping it kind of up tempo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really like to do a whole bunch of ballads. It's like we want to, get out there and just raise some hell, have some fun. But I did rearrange the set list this year after having this new album. So we are playing $6 a day. We're playing Real as I Believe. Shoot. I think we're playing Tougher Than the Rest, which is one of Dad's songs. But that's just a great dance song. I mean,
yeah,
you can see people just flooding the dance floor when that one kicks off. But the majority of the set list is pretty upbeat. And, yeah, fun.
yeah. Well, and I gotta say that if well, with that being the case, then the song you did with Corb, the Dance with Your Spurs on, that one's got to be part of the set list too, I would assume.
Yeah, it's definitely a staple. We've been playing that one ever since we recorded it and released it. Yeah, I think it's probably fourth or fifth down the list.
Down the list.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that one. I think you guys did a heck of a job recording it and putting that one together. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I still remember when Corb sent that to me. I was playing a solo gig up in South Dakota, the dead of winter.
Yeah.
And the original version, I think he had like a verse and a chorus and maybe a start to another verse.
Yeah.
But it was quite a bit slower than what it ended up being.
Oh.
And we got to talking about that maybe on the last time I was on the show with you. And I guess he's like, oh yeah, that's right. It was more of borderline ballad type of track. But
Yeah.
I figured, well, shoot, dance with your spurs on, got to, kick a little bit,
Yeah. Oh, so what's the story? How'd that one come together? He sent you like a sample of it kind of thing?
Yeah, it was just through like an email, and he had recorded just what he had and sent it to me, and then I just kind of worked with it and added my own spin to it, and then sent it back to him, and then he added a little bit more and sent it. I mean, it's just that's kind of the way I write songs with other people. I mean, we live in Northeast Kansas, and I wouldn't expect anybody from Nashville or Canada or any place else to fly all the way here just to try to write a song. So, with technology, you can just do it via stream, Zoom, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send it back and forth.
Yeah.
That's pretty slick. Well, so what are you working on? I gotta ask about the live shows. What is the talk? I want to talk about your band a little bit and your sound guy on the road. A lot of these guys never get any recognition or credit, I want to say, unless it's at a live show. But like having that whole team there, and like, does Will? I guess does Will come along a little bit too? And then how do you guys handle all the tech side of stuff? Like, do you have a trailer with a bunch of, like, you obviously have your own gear, but then there's like the audio side that you got to tie into. And then you mentioned, are you using in-ear monitors? Are you using floor wedges? I forget the last time I was at one of your shows what you guys are using.
We might be one of the last bands that uses just wedges, floor wedges,
Yeah.
and
Corb does too.
Corb does too.
Yeah, he doesn't have any in-ear monitors either.
Yeah, I tried using the in-ears when I was still playing drums, but I felt like I was in a bubble. Maybe that's just the way it felt for a drummer. Because like my dynamics were way off. I couldn't quite tell how hard I'm really hitting or how soft, and it was just like all the sounds here. It's like wearing, I don't know. I just didn't like it. I liked the sound of the whole room. But we played out in Lancaster, California, about a year and a half ago, and opened up for Clint Black. And we were up on stage doing sound check, and we got done with the first check song, and I feel this little tap on my shoulder, and I turned, and it was Clint. He was up on stage. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "What are you guys using? Floor wedges?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Man, you guys ought to go to in-ears." I said, "Well, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is what we do." Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of so there's 7 guys in the whole group. We got probably the hardest working sound guy in the business, because we don't really only have just that one crew guy, and he runs the sound. He'll run, the monitors. He'll set the drums up, and I mean, he's great. Mike Browning is his name. And then we mentioned Will, my brother, who sells merch, but Will also arranges all the travel.
Oh,
yeah. So if we have, say a week's run of shows, he'll set up all the flights, and we do a lot of fly dates. So, I mean, we might fly to, I don't know, Austin, and just rent a couple of pickups. And for fly dates, you got to rent backline gear, and some venues will provide it, like the drums and the amps, and of course we fly with our guitars. So there's a lot of moving parts, and we're all scattered all over the country. There's a couple guys in Nashville, a couple guys in Salt Lake. I'm in Kansas. My brother's in Wyoming. We got one guy in Texas. So you can only imagine with the as much flying as we do, we got points built up to where we could fly for free a lot of times. So
yeah.
Huh.
I wasn't sure about the logistics, because I know like the backline stuff is pretty readily available most places, and in-ear stuff, but like I think that I'd have to go pay more attention, but I don't think Coulter has any in-ear monitors either. And I like haven't wore them for a few shows that we do now, like on the, like, because I play the music at the bull riding shows and the rodeos, like I'm the DJ on that side of it, like, and we wear them once in a while to hear like the call from the show caller, like the event producer, so he can say 30 seconds into the video, or hey, you're up, or more of
Mhm.
a directing thing than a like a musical thing. But if I put them both in for the pyro so my ears don't blow up.
Yeah.
Uh, but I feel I'm with you. I totally understand the feeling of like a good set of ears. You're totally in a bubble and it's all in your head. And yeah, it's a very foreign feeling. It almost like loses some of the I lose some of the equilibrium almost when I have both of the ears plugged. I
Yeah.
totally understand. And then the feeling of the house, like to interact with the audience, and
Mhm.
like as a performer for you, like well, number one, you'd have to have a talk back mic to talk to everybody else's in ears on the stage. You'd have to
Yeah.
turn around and be able to talk to them. Where I like Corb's told me before, he's got like hand signals for all the different songs.
Yeah.
You know,
Audible.
right? To call it audible and do the cows around or
Mhm.
whatever the signal might be. Yeah.
See,
Oh yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
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 For that one for us is 30 seconds. And then that one's 15 if you cut the C off.
Oh,
Uh but what does your C mean? What do you got for yours?
we don't have any really. Like we
No?
don't have. So with us, we do have like a set list,
Yeah.
um, and maybe throughout the summer, I'll pick a song out that just ain't really connecting, and switch it in with bring something else in. But
Yeah.
for the most part, we have a set list
Yeah.
because going from one song to the next, there might be you know like the guitar player might have to retune or do a drop D
Switch
tuning.
guitars.
Yeah, so I don't want to throw a big wrench in the mix, um, and it's nice just to know what you're going to be doing. Uh, Occasionally, I'll maybe take a song out unexpectedly and say, "Hey, let's do this one instead." But
Yeah.
very rarely will I do that.
Well, and so I'm thinking, I'm looking at your schedule on what you got coming up this summer, a few of the different dates, and we're going like Deadwood, Libby, Darby. Then you're going to KC, Wyoming, home soil, June 14th. Then you go to Elko, Nevada. I'm assuming that there's a little bit of variation on some of those shows too. Like the KC crowd's gonna want to hear a little bit of a different show than maybe the show that you might do in Libby, Montana or Darby, Montana. I'm assuming I could be wrong, but
Yeah, well, the one thing with KC this year, Chris LeDoux Days, it's the last one.
oh
And
really?
yeah, so this will be technically the 14th one, but since everybody had to shut down for, the whole pandemic, uh, so I guess we're just saying it's our 15th. But yeah, my mom, sent a big group text out to me and the rest of the family and a few months ago, and she said, what do you say we just have a big party and just go out with a bang? Because we're bringing in a band that we've been trying to get for at least the last 2 or 3 years. We're bringing in Sawyer Brown.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and there's a big history with those guys and Dad from back in the '90s. They toured and played a bunch of shows together, and I got to be friends with all those guys, and it's kind of like, well, how are we going to top this? We finally got them, and so yeah, we're gonna just have a big party. Go out with a bang, and who knows, maybe down the road we'll do something else. But there's just a lot of hard work that goes into it, and my mom does most of it. Us kids, we pitch in, whenever she needs some help. But yeah, as far as the set list goes, um, like I said, I kind of change it up, throughout the summer, But of course, if you're opening up for somebody, you got to make your set list shorter. You might get 45 minutes, or in some cases, you get 30 minutes. You just kind of like a fart in the skillet out there. It's like,
Yeah.
did we even do anything?
Yeah. 10, that's only like 8 to 10 songs, and you can't even talk in between.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I try to change it up a little bit, but it stays the same most of the time.
I uh I got a couple things written down, but then I got thinking. So you obviously got started in the music side from your dad, and your whole family was involved. And I wanted to ask about your mom's involvement on his side of things and what she's been up to since.
With the music,
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess when Dad was, kind of first starting out, the story I heard is he never really played any shows when he was still rodeoing. He was
Okay.
releasing music. He put out 22 albums on his own on American Cowboy Songs, a family-run record label. But yeah, my mom was right there with him. Once he started going out and playing shows, she was the one who sold the merch and took care of us kids at the same time. And just a big supporter. She's always been the rock in this family. But yeah, since Dad passed away, it was really her idea about starting this, Chris LeDoux Days and having a bronze sculpture, put up in town. They own this little town, what you call it, like a little city lot, I don't know, half acre, whatever it is. And Dad and Mom actually had this idea years ago about having a park like in downtown KC and maybe have some really nice landscaping done and maybe a water feature and picnic tables to, where people coming off I-25, you could just, pull off and take a little break and let the kids run around or whatever. But it's definitely grown into something way cooler, having Dad's statue there. And then even across the street, there's the Rusty Spur, which my granddad started. And it's got a lot of Dad's merch in there and some saddle and tack stuff. And but yeah, Mom, she's still plugging along. And yeah, I know that she's getting excited for this last LeDoux Days, and it's going to be one hell of a party.
Well, and if your dad passed when he was 56, your mom would be getting closer to 70 if she already wasn't that age too. So I guess she'd be closer to the retirement side of things if she already isn't. So probably ready to spend a little less time planning that big of an event, I would imagine. I get it.
Yeah, well, there's no retiring for Mom. She's out doing something every day, and yeah, there's no. She's a go-getter. She'll keep on going after it. So yeah, there's no slowing her down.
Okay. Well, okay. So then I got thinking about your start on the music side of things with your family, with your dad, and then what about your kids now? You mentioned your son is 14 now, and what's his involvement of it? Maybe there's none, but I just gotta ask.
Yeah, well, when he was little, 3, 4, 5 years old, he was kind of getting into drums, because even though I don't really play drums anymore, I got drums like stacked up in the corner in the basement and stuff. And so he'd go over and take them down and he'd just beat on them. But he's kind of lost interest in that. He likes music, he listens to a lot of stuff. But we also have a soon to be 3-year-old boy, and
Yeah.
his name's Jovi, and he's got it. He's got
Really?
got the rhythm. And yeah, so I set up a kick, snare, and hi-hat in the basement. And even though he can't reach the pedals, he just likes to sit on the stool and beat the hell out of everything. But he's got timing. It's there. And even in the living room, he'll put a chair up behind the couch. And he's got these little orange plastic drumsticks, and he'll just beat on the back of the couch.
Really?
And so yeah, it's kind of come full circle because I think about my folks. They're the ones who got me the drums, and so I'm this little kid in the basement, which is located right underneath the living room, and I know they're like the plates are rattling off the shelves and pictures are falling off the walls. So I'm dealing with the same thing now, having a soon to be 3-year-old drummer.
Well, and Jovi, I gotta ask how it's spelled now. Is it Jovi like rock and roll style or not quite?
That's Jovee.
Jovee. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if we had another Bon Jovi on our hands or something.
No. Well, we had to really make sure, like at the doctor's office, when he was born, they kept spelling it Jody, like
Oh,
Jody
you're
the
doing it
rodeo.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, hey, we need to make sure this is right. This is like
Yeah.
important documents here.
Yeah.
So
Okay, you mentioned earlier before we got going about some acting. We got to talk about the acting side of things, Ned.
yeah, it was kind of came out of nowhere. We played in Vegas like we always do for NFR, and
At the
this was
Silverton, right? And
yeah,
the South Point a bit? Or is it mostly Silverton?
it's just the Silverton.
And that's something, is that around the Cowboys and Indians? They gotta usually have an event there too, do they not? Or am I mixed
Yeah,
up?
yeah.
Same night? Different night.
Uh, it might be the same. I don't really know for
I don't
sure.
forget to. Okay.
I know that like South Point is just like one exit down from Silverton.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
off.
And it's a
Okay.
great place to play. I mean, it's like their own little town right there. They got a Bass Pro Shop and really good places to eat. And it's like you don't really have to go anywhere. You just
Yeah.
walk out of your room, go get something good to eat, and do a sound check and play the show. But um, yeah, the acting thing. So yeah, it was like a little over 2 years ago, and there's this guy who I guess had seen a few of our shows, and he was talking to my manager, and he said he'd like to meet with you about maybe doing some acting. I was like, acting? He said, yeah. And so I met with him one afternoon there at the hotel, and he kind of gave me his story, and he started talking about this film, and I said, well, what makes you think that I can act? I've never never done anything like this before. And he said, well, I just see you on stage and the way, like your stage presence and how you interact with the crowd. And I was like, well, if that's all it takes, okay. But he was telling me the story about this movie, and it's a Western. And I guess originally they're going to have it be like a docu film, but after they did all the editing and put it all together, they said, no, this is a movie. And so I play the role of Sheriff William O'Connell. And so there was only 2 days where when I was on location, or filming, and it was just outside of Cody, Wyoming. And so I was horseback actually pretty much the whole time, and just a beautiful part of the state, mountains everywhere. And yeah, it was really cool. And I saw it's not released yet. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but I did get a copy of it, and just the look of it all. I mean, just the camera work. I mean, just looks so cool. But then I was in another one just a few months ago, and it was shot just outside of Tucson, and a place called the it's a legendary place. I'm at a loss for what it's called now. The Mescal movie set, I think.
Okay.
But movies like Tombstone was shot there. Part of Josie Wales was there. I mean, there's a whole list. They gave me a calendar of this place, and I mean, just hundreds of. I mean, and you name it, as far as actors and actresses, they were there. Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, Robert Duvall. I mean, the list goes on and on. But yeah, it's kind of a new little adventure. I just say, hey, I just remember the first role I played with being the sheriff. I said, well, I don't really have many questions here, but I do want to ask. I said, is my character an asshole? And he just laughed. He just laughed. He said, no. He said, your character is like somebody that everybody gets along with. You're one of the good guys. I said, well, good. Yeah.
That was part of the contract. The character cannot be an asshole if Ned's playing
it. Yeah. I'm a terrible pretender.
Oh, so is there more of that stuff in the works then and like you mentioned the set of the other movie, but what's the story with it? What's the deal there? And release dates, like do we know that on either one or what's happening there? How do people watch them when the time comes? I'm
not sure as far as the first one. And the first movie is called Buffalo Daze, Daze. And it's a story about this guy. His name's Jimmy Grinder. And I guess he was known to be able to ride anything with hair on it. But he also, I guess, stole some horses. And my character is friends with him, and he doesn't want to believe that he really did steal these horses, even though he did. And then, I mean, it's kind of a long story, but the second film I was in is called Outriding the Devil, and I think they're wanting to release that, before the end of the year. And I think it might be more of a docu film or something, but it goes way back into like the old West. Chancey Williams is actually in it.
Cool.
And I think he played the role of the sheriff, from, I think his era was back in the, early 1800s, mid 1800s or something. But then you fast forward, and then my role, I play the uncle to this girl. The story's about this girl. And so it was like in the 1970s is when our part of the movie is. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, I wish I could tell you more details about it, but I haven't seen that one yet.
I was curious. And is there anything else in the works? Like, is this something you're going to pursue a bit more, or just kind of if somebody calls?
Yeah, just if somebody calls, I'm not gonna move out to LA and try to be the next Harrison
Movie star?
No, I'm good here. If they just want to give me a call.
Well, and then I was curious about your like being on the road and still raising your kids, 14 and 3. Like that's like you want to be home with your boys and with your wife and being home a bit. Like it's not easy being on the road all the time, but it's more difficult, I would assume, being a musician and trying to still raise your young kids.
Yeah, well, with our tour schedule, we're not gone for 3 or 4 months at a time. I mean, the summer is definitely busy. We might be gone for a couple of weeks and then home for 3 or 4 days and then gone for another week and a half. But we don't usually play a lot of shows in the wintertime. Like the last show we played was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And before that, we had like a month and a half off, and it's not really my choice, but it is kind of nice to be home during the winter because we do play out west quite a bit, and you never know with what weather is going to be out there. And, because we've had our share of, delays and cancellations and, just bad roads and all that stuff. But yeah, I got a great home team. Whenever I'm gone, my wife's, of course, she's here, and there's some shows where I can bring them along with us. And, but yeah, it all works out good. Yeah.
Well, and so what's coming up next? Are you talked about the kind of 3-year gap between Buckskin and Safe Haven on the record side of things, but what like there's a lot of money and time and investment and writing to have those new records, and like it's not an easy thing to do. I can see how it could take 3 years because it's a extreme process to even do that.
Yeah, it is a long process, yeah, just writing songs for me just takes forever. There's just a lot of pacing back and forth, and I learned probably after my first album, writing those songs, that it's okay to get up and walk away for a while. Leave it alone for a day or two or a week or whatever you need, then go back with a fresh approach. But now that I just released a new album, I'm kind of off, kind of doing other things right now. Kind of getting ready for the summer run and just being with the family and working on projects around the house. The grass is turning green now, so kind of get out there and start doing some stuff. But I'm going to try to get back into songwriting a little earlier than I usually do. Most of the time, I release an album, and I like to just give it time to learn how to fly. Like I don't really need to rush back into writing a song. And, but I already have a few notes written down for something in the future.
Right on. Well, is there anything else we're missing or anything else we should get to before we wrap it up today, Ned?
Well, I could tell people where they can get the stuff.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah, well we can definitely do that. We like I would assume on the yeah, go ahead. Tell us where they can find you on the website and all that sort of jazz.
you can, I guess, anywhere you download or stream your music, all those platforms, we're available.
Yeah.
But I try to direct people to the website, just nedledoux.com, and order
Yeah.
the physical product, because I'm still a big CD guy, and we got the vinyl records, all that stuff too. But yeah, CD still, in my opinion, sounds the best. Um, and just the whole unwrapping the CD, and you open it up and you smell it. And, you're pulling out the little booklet and reading the liner notes and thank yous and seeing all the pictures, and that's stuff that you won't see on a downloaded version, and I can't sign a digital copy, so if you make it out to a show, we'll have CDs and records available, and I can definitely sign that stuff. So get you a physical product.
Well, and it'll be shipped directly by your brother Will, right out of Wyoming too, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I
And
remember sorry, go ahead.
it's convenient for him because the post office is right next door to the Rusty Spur. So he does all the packaging and all that stuff there at the store, and just walks next door and puts down a big pile of CDs and records. Yeah.
Ships them out.
Yep.
The he's creating some commerce in KC, a little more commerce in KC, right? Some local business.
Yeah, he's definitely keeping the post office in business. That's for sure.
I remember being at the NFR and talking with him, and he talked about he had to fly home to go ship some stuff for Christmas. I thought it was kind of funny because he's like, yeah, there was a few years where I would like just skip the orders there, and I definitely ruined some Christmases. I had some emails come through where I was ruining Christmas because people's orders didn't show up in time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he plays hockey too. I don't know
Yeah,
if yeah, he
definitely
has.
knew that.
Yeah, there's I guess, a league up in Sheridan, Wyoming, and
Beer league.
yeah. But we had the last couple shows we played was in Omaha and Wichita, but he wasn't able to make it to the shows because, like, the day before he was supposed to fly out, he cracked his kneecap.
Oh, geez.
Uh, he plays goalie, and he said he can do the splits like those professionals can too. But he said he was going for a puck, and the leg pad like slid to the side of his leg, and his
Yeah.
kneecap cracked against the ice.
Oh no.
And he said he kind of shook it off for a second, and then he did it again. The same thing happened, and then he did it again like a third time. And I said, "Well, did you get out of the game?" He said, "No, I finished the game."
Oh no.
Yeah, he had to. Of course, there's nothing you can do with a cracked kneecap. I guess it's kind of like having a cracked rib. You just gotta just kind of baby it along for a while. But yeah,
I think Corb has a jersey that Will gave him. It's got like the Wyoming flag on it. It's super cool. I remember seeing it somewhere, but maybe it was I don't know what it was, but I thought I saw something about that where Will gave Corb a jersey. I could be remembering wrong, but I thought it
no,
was
I
super
know the
neat.
one that you're talking about. It's got the buck and horse. It's like the silhouette.
Yeah,
It's actually like a silhouette of the sculpture that's in
yeah.
KC. Yeah, I think it's red, white, and blue, and it's got that on there. And does it have a number on it?
I don't remember now, but for some reason I remember seeing that. There's a picture of it in my head, but I don't remember the whole story.
Yeah, yeah. Will, I think he makes prints up like hockey jerseys for the team that he's playing
Yeah.
with. Just a creative guy. I mean, all the stuff that you see that's on the website, whether it's my stuff or Dad's stuff, it all was dreamed up from him.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, he'll get a hold of me and say, "Well, it's probably about time for a new T-shirt." I said, "Well, let me know what you think."
Yeah.
And I might suggest a color or something like that, but
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff he kind of comes up on his own.
Right on. Well, it's fun to still keep the family side of things alive too, right? Where that's kind of how you guys started it years ago when you were a kid too, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's just nice to have like family out on the road. Like me and my brother, we room together, and he's just fun to have out there. A lot of times like in the summer, he'll be looking at, routing days, like days that we have off. And there's a couple of years ago, we were playing kind of in the Midwest. He said, we could stop in Chicago and go see the Cubs play. And I'm not a big baseball fan, but I know that Wrigley Field is a legendary place. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be cool. But even as far as talking about family, I mean, even you date back to when Dad was recording those albums, back in the 70s. My grandpa LeDoux was like producer and manager, and they go in the studio and record these songs, and then get them all printed out. Then my aunt Jeannie, she called herself the label licker, so she put the labels on the 8 tracks and the records and all this stuff. But they would make copies of the 8 tracks in my grandma's kitchen, and Grandma would set the timer on her oven, and when it went off, it let her know that she had to flip the 8 track over and do the other side. And how many they pressed out of the home front, I have no idea. But then my Uncle Mike would, take boxes of that stuff and go on the road and, drop them off at a feed store or, saddle and tack shop somewhere and just sell them out on the road. But yeah, definitely grassroots, family run business.
Oh, right on. I like it. Well, and I makes me think and wonder what like what I think we probably talked about it previously, but what about some of your favorite stuff of your dad's? Like I gotta ask again. I don't know if we did last time or if Corb would have, but like, there's just so much history there and so much like. And then I got thinking about the song that your dad did in some capacity with Garth Brooks too at one point, right? Like the Good Ride Cowboy, that piece, and like one of the really mainstream successful pieces. But then I think about like Life is a Highway, and I forget who first recorded that though. I'd have to go look it up. But I like your dad's version is still my favorite one of all
Yeah.
time of all the different versions like that I've ever heard. There's even I think Tom Cochran even did one too, but
Yeah.
in the
He's
Rascal
the one,
Flatts,
he's the writer on it.
he
Tom.
wrote it.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, sorry,
Uh,
Tom Cochran is?
yeah.
I see. Oh, so your dad did it. Your dad would have done it second then after him.
Yeah. I think Dad was the second one to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I remember being in the studio when they recorded that. I don't know why I was in Nashville, but I was. But being a drummer, and I was playing with Dad at the time, and but I was in the control room, and right on the other side of the glass was the drummer, uh, Greg Morrow, was the drummer, who's also played on a lot of my stuff, or actually all of my stuff, and so he had this little click track. It's like that. And then I was like, what's he going to do? And it's like, and the producer, Trey Bruce, he turned around and looked at me and it's like, yeah, I got to learn that. But yeah, it's such a great track. And that whole album, the album that was on is the One Road Man album. And just a great, great album.
What is that? I kind of put you in a corner on that one though, as far as like being one of your favorite. Like I wonder what some of your favorites or most memorable pieces are on in his catalog.
Well, I think my favorite album is Powder River.
And
it's
and
just,
what's I gotta ask what the story with Powder River Records is. Is that your own label too?
yeah, but I'm
Okay.
just independent. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just came up with that myself. But yeah, the Powder River album of Dad's, I think, has just got one of the coolest covers. He's standing there. There's like a black curtain behind him. He's wearing that yellow slicker, and it's got his saddle kind of propped up against his leg. And he wrote every song on there. And it was the last album that he put out. I think it was in 1989, before he got a record deal with Capitol Records. And but they're just great songs, and there's songs about home and just being a cowboy and being in love with his wife and kids, and uh, so that would probably be my favorite album that he ever put out.
Okay. And what are your thoughts between the independent stuff and the record label stuff. Like what are your thoughts between those two kind of eras of his career?
Um, well, I think the production was better, when he had a record, he's got a record deal. Not to say that the sound quality wasn't good on the early stuff, but the charm and the character from those early days, there's just something about that sound. There's some parts of the song on the early stuff where I think it's I think it's a hi-hat or something, but it sounds like somebody taking a playing card and swiping it across the blackjack table or
Oh,
something,
really?
or just a tabletop, like that swishing sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the production got was better quality when he got a record deal. I mean, he had studio session players playing on the stuff, and as far as the songs, there's a lot of those albums in his the record deal days that he didn't write. He might take some songs from way back in his catalog that he thought that just needed more attention or second chance. And like the whole Cowboy album, that's what that was. He went way back in his catalog and picked out however many songs there are, and just thought, okay, they just need another chance. Let's do this again. But I just love it all. I just love how the whole sound evolved, including his voice. I mean, you take like the first handful of records that he put out and compare it to like the last few that he ever released, and it's like a totally different guy. But his voice was just maturing, but yeah, it's all good stuff.
Well, and he like he would have still recorded a lot of the early stuff like he probably still went to Nashville to record, or did he do it somewhere else? I don't know that story now.
Yeah, he recorded most everything in Nashville.
Okay, he did, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of different studios, of course, but yeah, most everything was in Nashville.
Okay, and then then gets the record deal, and goes that way. So who runs everything of his now, Ned? I don't know how that would work. Like I assume it's a family thing. Like you guys would own what do they say, owning the masters? Like would it be you guys still, or how does that even work?
Well, I think there was a publishing company or something that bought all that stuff, years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But as far as management, the same management company, takes care of, all of Dad's business, as far as I don't know, like royalty stuff and, the business end of things. Yeah.
I see. But is that controlled by you guys in some capacity, or like, do you have a hand in it all, or like, I have no idea how that all works.
Yeah, a little bit, it's really just kind of Mom's thing,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Like there was an album that was released in
Is it 2021? Like the Wyoming Cowboy one?
Yeah. Uh-huh. And my mom was one who came up with the title. I think Dad's manager called her up or called me up or somebody and said, yeah, well, what do you think we ought to title this? And my mom, without hesitation, Wyoming Cowboy. And okay, yeah, that's perfect.
I like it.
And like the collection of songs on there's a lot of them on there that were on like greatest hits, from years before. But there's a couple of songs that were never released in the States anyway. I think Oklahoma Hospitality was one of them. And
We
and
Ain't Got It All?
Yeah. Well, that was a song.
You're on that one too.
Yeah. Well, the story behind that song is my dad left behind what I call the box of thoughts. And it was just like little notes for a new song. And there's a pretty good stack of just like a start to a verse or a start to a chorus, but nothing was ever done or finished. And so my mom took like a handful of these song ideas and made copies and sent them to Dad's management. And we're talking, shoot, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago when she did this. And she was just kind of thinking that, well, maybe there's somebody in the office that could do something with these instead of just putting them back in the attic. And so that's when management got a hold of me and said, well, why don't you see if you can try to finish one of these things? And I was like, I don't know how to write a song. I'm just a drummer and never even tried it. So I kind of played around with this one idea, and it was something about a rusty pickup truck on 4-ball tires. We got firewood in the stack. I guess money's all we lack. And that's really about all there was. And then Mac McAnally, who also produced the last 3 albums that Dad put out, and he's also the one who wrote Horsepower. And he found out what I was trying to do and invited me down to his place, and we sat down together in his house with this little idea that Dad started, and we finished it. And it's called We Ain't Got It All, which is included on the Wyoming Cowboy album.
Yeah.
And also on my very, very first album.
Oh, okay. Wow. I love all the stories behind this, Ned. I didn't know if I didn't think we'd get to this spot, but I
Yeah.
appreciate it. This is fun visiting.
Yeah, I
gotta,
haven't really told. There's a lot of these stories I don't think I've ever even touched on before.
oh, really? Well,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that we're doing that. I don't want to have an interview that everybody else has. I want to make it different and talk about different stuff. But so me being a rodeo nerd now, I gotta ask where's your dad's world champion buckle? Who has that? Where does it live, or where does it live?
It's at Mom's. Yeah,
At
she
her
has
house?
it. Yeah, it's on the fireplace mantle,
Okay.
um, along with Dad's. I think it's a CMA Pioneer Award,
Yeah.
and like the statue that you get for the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame is up there. But
Yeah.
but yeah, somebody asked. They did like a big display of Dad's somewhere. Maybe it was the Country Music Hall of Fame, and this was quite a few years ago. And they asked if they could have that buckle. No,
No
the,
chance.
the buckle ain't leaving the house. You can put the saddle in there. You can put the rigging in there. Of course, they all send that stuff back, but it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we're not going to mail this buckle anywhere.
No. We can if we have to, we'll get a duplicate made with Montana. We can get another one made.
Yeah.
That's one thing that you probably tell me if I'm wrong here too, but I'm pretty sure you have one of those. Is it Colorado country music or Western? There's some I forget what the awards are, but isn't there buckles that you guys have won? Didn't you guys win one with the dance with your spurs on? Wasn't that a winner at
Yeah.
those awards? I forget what they're
Yeah.
called right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The guy who started it all, his name's Sean Patrick, and he was a DJ. I think he's originally from Greeley, Colorado. And he just wanted to recognize all the talent that comes from the Mountain West. And he hasn't had one of these award shows in a number of years now, but it was called the Rocky Mountain CMA Awards. And but yeah, we won Entertainer of the Year, Male Vocalist, Album of the Year. But the thing that me and Corb won was Songwriter of the Year, and that was for Dance with Your Spurs On. And yeah, we got a pretty good collection of buckles, you know. And one cool thing about playing the main stage at Cheyenne is they give you a buckle for it. And the first time I played it, if not counting, you know, the years that I played drums with Dad, because Dad, he's got you know, I don't know how many he has from playing Cheyenne, 6 or 7, maybe more. But they didn't have his name on it. You know, it had like Cheyenne Frontier Days and the year and the logo. And so when they presented that buckle to me back in, I think 2016, it's the first time we played it, I think. I saw my name was on there, and I knew they kind of wanted me to give a little bit of a speech, and I had this thing kind of worked out. But once I saw my name on the buckle, Shine Frontier Days, and the logo, I just got a lump in my throat. I was like, I can't say anything, and because what I was going to say is like, even though I never rodeoed myself, receiving this buckle, I feel like I just won Cheyenne. You know, that's how proud I am of this, because that's, you know, the Grand Ole Opry of the West, I think, is playing that main stage at Cheyenne.
Oh yeah. Well, and I had to go down. So the crew there, and I gotta give a shout out to my friend Patrick Powers because he organized those buckles at the Rocky Rocky Mountain CMA Awards. I think that's what you called it.
Yeah.
But Patrick and I worked together at Montana Silversmith. So Patrick mentioned that, and I think he met you guys at that show and whatnot. But anyways, um, the Cheyenne stuff, I got to go down there a couple years ago myself. One of the nights they had the PBR show in the evening, but I couldn't imagine I didn't realize the scope and the span and how big that grandstand was, and to have it all full in that evening for the Frontier Nights, like I was a big fan of it. And we make them some stuff with our cowboy shit brand. We have a few things we've made for them over the years. I think I sent you one of the caps at one point, or I think I
Yeah.
intended to. I don't know if I did or not,
Yeah.
uh, but anyways, yeah, I love Cheyenne, and just to be part of to be able to work with them a little bit, and Randy and Marty. Marty's going through some major surgery right now. Part of the store crew there, but for
Mm.
you, like you said, the Grand Old Opry of the West. I love that line. I don't know if anybody's used that one ever before. I think that's a neat way to say it, but there's nothing like it. I mean, a lot of these rodeos have a show in the evening now. Like I know Greeley's been doing some of the shows, and Houston obviously has major concerts in the evenings, San Antonio. But Cheyenne being in the summertime, there's just like that special, um, I don't know what to, I don't know the word I'm trying to find right now, but it's just like that. It's a very special, historic, unique, and storied place, I guess, right?
Yeah. And maybe, being from Wyoming, it's like we got the Wyoming Cowboys and we got Shine Frontier Days. We don't have any major sports teams, or anything like that. And so Shine Frontier Days is like the one of the biggest parties in the state, and
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just the the climate or something. Like all the years that we played the main stage, I mean, I got pictures of like some of the most beautiful sunsets, in the background. And the last time we played it was for the 125th annual, and we got to open up for Garth. And you can only imagine the place, selling out every ticket, and they were bringing in hay bales or whatever for more seats. But yeah, it's such a special place, and knowing that Dad rode there, and he never won it. He came really close a couple times, but I know for him it was really special, to play that stage at Cheyenne.
Well, okay, I got two more questions before we wrap up. I feel like I've kept you too long already, but uh,
You're okay.
I gotta ask some of your influences right now on the music side of things. Who you're listening to, what you're listening to, I'm just wondering where your head's at with that.
Well, it might surprise you. Of course, I
I'll be
listen
done.
to our buddies. Like I listen
Yeah.
to Corb, quite often,
Yeah.
and I got to be over the years. I got to be friends with Cody Johnson, but don't let the hat fool you. I mean, I'm still kind of a metalhead. I just love the sound of drums. Like Vinnie Paul from Pantera, and even Alex Van Halen. My personal favorite album is probably either 5150 or the Balance album. And so I don't really have like one particular singer that I listen to like right now. I kind of go in waves. For a couple of weeks I might listen to 90s grunge and alternative, and then might move on to the heavier stuff, and then I'll get on a Charlie Daniels kick or something like that. So it's a wide variety of stuff.
Well, and I've got to kind of interject here a little bit and say like some of the rock and roll, some of the rock and roll interjection that your dad did kind of changed some of that. Like it kind of added, even cowboys like a little rock and roll. Like I don't think anything sounded like that at the time, right? Like that was a new sound that he created. I want to say I might be making this up, but like I don't. There's nothing even today that sounds like that.
No, yeah, yeah, he loves some rock and roll, man. He like ZZ Top, Dire Straits, some Springsteen stuff. Um, and then when like me and my siblings were quite a bit younger, my big brother Clay, who's 5 years older than me, he got into the '80s rock stuff, Cinderella and Poison, Bon Jovi, that kind of stuff, and eventually that spilled over to what I was listening to, but Dad, he'd go in and so what are you boys listening to? It's like, oh, this is Alice Cooper. It's like, geez, he's got a snake wrapped around his neck, that kind of stuff. Like, but then you get to listening to it, it's like, man, that's pretty good. So yeah, like even songs like "Hooked on an 8-Second Ride" has that just kind of a galloping, heavy guitar riff, and "For Your Love," yeah, his show was a rock and roll rodeo show. He said something about wanting to bring a bareback rider's mentality to the stage. Of course, he had the bucking machine and the pyro and just a ass kicking show, man. It was so fun to be a part of.
Well, and then how would he have got hooked up with John Bon Jovi for Bang a Drum for this one? Where is this from? This is from classic Chris LeDoux. But that must have been from a different time. Is that a different recording, or what's the story with that one?
See, that song was on the One
It's
Road
an
Man
older
album.
song.
It was on the One Road Man album, the
Okay.
same album that Life's a Highway's on, and
Yeah.
Borderline
1998.
98. Yeah, that's the year that I started with Dad.
Okay.
So one of us kids had the soundtrack to the Young Guns movie soundtrack,
Yeah.
and Bang a Drum. Of course, Bon Jovi wrote all those songs for that soundtrack. And yeah, Dad was listening to it and just like, that's a good song. So I guess through management or somebody, they kind of asked permission, from John, like, care if we record this? And I guess John got back to him immediately. He's like, yeah, as long as I can sing on it with you and we make a video. So he was like all for it, and it turned out great.
I just noticed Caballo Diablo too. I forgot about that one a little bit, but we've used it. There's a guy up here, Billy Richards is the name. And he put together a little show for rodeos that he's done for a few years up here now called Man of Vision. And it's like a ranch bronc riding kind of show segment of a rodeo. And he put everything to music, and one was shot down in a Blaze of Glory, like the Bon Jovi piece. And he's like, you got to hit the music. Like when the chute opens, you got to hit this shot down in a Blaze of Glory. And then another one, like getting things set up was Caballo Diablo, which like, then it got me thinking now about like some of the deeper cuts on some of his albums that people might not like really be aware of, even that they might find something or like something from your catalog too. I'm wondering what some of these sneaky good ones might be that people might not be thinking about.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, oh man. Well, I keep going back to the One Road Man album.
Yeah.
Caballo Diablo, which Charlie Daniels wrote that one.
Oh, really?
Years and years ago, and Dad actually recorded it on an earlier album. I think, I think Charlie sang with him on that version.
Okay.
But there's a song called "The Borderline," which is really good. I think the boys from Alabama might have wrote that one. Old Slewfoot is another one. I always kind of tend to favor the stuff that was never really played on the radio. And that's kind of the way it is with a lot of the bands I listen to. Not to say that the songs that made it for a single weren't any good, but yeah, some of the deep cuts are a lot of times some of my favorites. Yeah.
What's it like for you being independent, Ned, in the music business these days? Are those guys keeping you out a little bit? Like, is it so much more work to bust into some of the stuff? Like you might not want to be in the same, like you don't have the same music and same sound as some of the radio guys, but like where does that fit in for you?
Yeah, when I'm when I'm writing songs, or even if I get a song pitched to me from somebody else, I just look for good stuff, and I'm not trying to write a song that would fit in with like today's country music. I'm
No
just gonna
offense.
keep, yeah, no offense to that, but um, I mean, if people take a liking to the story that I'm writing myself, then great, because I think there's a lot of people in our demographic that can relate to it. The guys that are driving feed trucks, with cake feeders on them, and they don't go to town there very much, and yeah, just living out in the middle of nowhere and just working off the land. And but there's like some songs that were sent to me from outside writers. There's one on this new album called Boys Growing Up, which is the first single, and it's just when it was sent to me, it was just a vocal guitar, like a demo. It didn't have a big production behind it, so I had my imagination wide open on what it could sound like. And talking with my producer, I was like, man, I can hear kind of like a Tom Petty, Sheryl Crow type of groove. Let's don't complicate it too much. Let's just make it a song that's like less is more type of a thing. And it ended up being probably one of my favorite songs to play live. But yeah, I'll just kind of stay in my lane, as they say, and just kind of keep writing this kind of stuff that I always have.
Well, new music, Safe Haven is out now. Just came out April 4th, 2025. Get it wherever your music is sold, but preferably nedledoux.com. Shipped by Brother Will out of KC, Wyoming. And the last edition of Chris LeDoux Days is coming up June 13th to 15th in KC, Wyoming as well. Check it out. And thanks for doing this today, Ned.
Yeah, boy, that was fun. We covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we did. Sorry for keeping you so long, but I appreciate it. That was a heck of a visit.
Yeah, I think I hear little feet running up in the living room now. They must be awake.
Okay, well, I'll let you get back to it. Thanks a lot for doing this.
Okay, well, thank you. Good to see you.
You too. So one of the first PBR Canada events of the year, it's the Coy Larson Memorial PBR, Brooks, Alberta, May 9th. But one of the features of the night, it's gonna be David Lee Murphy. Gonna be a little bit of dust on the bottle. Some people looking for some for a party crowd or two out there. But we've got Brian Cowie, part of the organizing committee. Brian, tell us about the show coming up. The first one last year featured Core Blonde. In memory of Coy Larson, though, it's a heck of a show, and probably one of the first of its kind in a long time in Brooks.
Yeah, the event started 3 years ago. I was at the Silver Sage Community Corral, and it was a sold out crowd, and we were wondering how do we go bigger and better with it. Moved it over to the Centennial Regional Arena, which is just typically a hockey arena, and brought in Core Blonde. It was a great event. Then this year we kind of went through some performers and where can we go with it, and ended up with David Lee Murphy. It's going to be really exciting to bring somebody like him into Brooks, Alberta, and see what kind of a party he can put on.
And tell us your connection to the event, Brian.
I've just from moving to the area a few years ago in 2009. Kyle was one of the first people I met. I only live a mile down the road from him. He's just a great person. Got to know him and Darcy and Coy and Sage quite well. And then obviously through the accident and losing Darcy and Coy, and being a close neighbor, try to help out as much as I can. And I think as terrible as it can be, our friendship, I think, became even stronger. So just trying to be there and be a good friend for Kyle and keep Coy's memory alive.
And I forgot about the Silver Sage show. That was the first one, then Corb was the second, and this is the third, or was there 2 years at the Silver Sage? I forget now.
Just 1 year at the Silver Sage. They did do a BRC before, but that wasn't necessarily a memorial. It's just kind of progressed into the PBR.
So we got to talk about last year a little bit with having Corb and having it in the Silver Sage. The the production level got raised through the roof to go
Oh,
from a strictly rodeo arena where you can do a certain amount of stuff, but to go to that next level, that hockey arena, like it was such an incredible show last year. I would say it went from from a certain event to an event of the year potential caliber. Like it was a huge step up to go to that next venue.
yeah, I mean, as far as putting on a PBR, I'm pretty much a rookie with that. So, but I think even the city itself was quite nervous about what we were going to do and how it was all going to go, and never having done anything like that in their building. And is actually a lot of help from you and some of your connections and different things like that that made it the event that it was. And now the city is excited to be hosting it again. All the or any of the uncertainty of what they thought the event might be, and hauling dirt into their nice clean arena and how cool it was and everything everybody's been saying in the city. Everyone's really excited about doing it again this year. So I think they were really impressed with the event, like you say, and the production level that it was.
It was fun to show up and talk to the gals at the city and the crew from the hockey team and to show them the drawing that Andrew did, and it was like, yeah, this is gonna go here, this is there, and they're like, I could kind of see their reaction. They're like, oh, holy shit, like this is legit. It was neat to see that reaction and to be part of helping create that on that side of
Yeah.
it. So I'm glad that we got to be part of it, Brian.
Yeah, it definitely helped out a lot. It went away a long ways with the city, and making them a lot more comfortable with doing it and continuing to do it for sure. It was great.
Well, and they put a lot of investment into it. Like they bought a whole I don't know how much money they spent in plywood. I think it was like I guess I shouldn't say any numbers or anything, but like it was a considerable amount of money that they had to invest in plywood to be able to properly cover the ice surface, because the Bandits are right in the middle of the playoffs too last year at this time. And they probably are again
Yeah,
this year.
well, and well, the when we originally booked the event, the Bandits weren't going to be in the middle of the playoffs.
Yeah, I
They
believe.
kind of mid-year switched to the BCHL, which actually lengthened their playoff season, because as it stands, the AJHL, if they were still part of it, would have ended last weekend, and this event wouldn't even be an issue. So the city was awesome and willing to work with us, and they went out and purchased all that plywood, looking at it for be sustainable and continuing to do it year over year. So it was great for them to be on board with that as well too.
Talk about Slim Wilson and his family's involvement as well. There, I see you're wearing your Wilson Rodeo hat. We got to talk about Slim
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and their involvement. That whole crew, and I don't even know who was all involved, but the amount of effort that was put into putting all that together, I was super impressed with how the VIP section looked in front of the stage last year. It was so well done.
Yeah, the VIP section in front of the stage is definitely a big shout out to the ladies in our lives, I guess. Without them, I don't think that VIP section would be what it is. But in regards to Wilson Bowles and Slim and Heather out there in Clooney, they're pretty amazing people. I'm glad I've got to know them here more recently in hanging out with Kinky. And yeah, they're a pretty big key to putting this on. They've been putting it on out in Clooney and other events for a long time now, and they've been a huge resource to us to get this going, and continue to be a lot of help. They're just great people.
So once again, the Coy Lars Memorial PBR are going to take place in Brooks, Alberta, Friday, May 9th, featuring David Lee Murphy. The show starts at 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at pbrcanada.com. Go to the schedule tab, click down to the Touring Pro Series, and it's the next event on the PBR Canada Touring Pro schedule, May 9th. Got anything else to add, Brian?
No, nothing to add at all. Just looking forward to having a great event again.
Yeah, looking forward to being there. Thank you, Brian.
Awesome. Thanks, Ted.